Hey everybody, we're live with Janani Ramachandran, and who has been gracious enough to join me to talk about a number of things. First of all, she's running for re-election, and I think that everyone should support her to be re-elected. She's done a fantastic job for District 4. Uh, there's some, little needling issues like Performing Arts Center, which we'll get to. But Janani, first of all, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Zennie.
You're welcome. And let's get that one thing, that quibbling thing out of the way. First of all, congratulations on the budget. But let's talk for a moment about the Performing Arts Center and uh, what you got the money to do it. And there were some accusations that came up uh, that the now past head of the cultural division department had some issue with your staffer or something. Was there any truth to that, or is there any animosity between your office and this person who's since left?
Not at all. If you're talking about the Performing Arts Center, so that's a really exciting proposal in our district. So as you may know, I'm a lifelong performer. My identity was as a performing artist way many more years before I was ever as a politician. Arts and music runs deep in my family and in my culture, and it's something that I love Oakland for, and the opportunities it provides for artists, the amount of creativity and arts that we have here. And I'm really excited to see what we can continue to do to uplift the arts in Oakland. And since, far before being in office, but even while in office, I've curated a number of arts event in the city that not only celebrates and supports our arts community, but also pays artists. The reality is, for most everyday artists, especially in all different arts, but performing arts, visual arts, the people who I'm connected to and are my social circles and my friends, life is hard. People are struggling to pay rent. People are getting their cars broken into and losing all of their hard drive data of art and music and all of that. It's really stressful to be an artist in Oakland these days. And the costs are also high for performing our spaces, for studio time, for all of these things that are the day-to-day of an artist. So there are a number of vacant city-owned properties across Oakland, and there's fairly few in my district and fairly few that can be used for public spaces. So when I heard almost 2 years ago from a community group in District 4 that they wanted to use one of these city-owned properties to revitalize a portion of Montclair, and an abandoned building that's been abandoned since before I was born in 1989. I thought, what a great proposal. And it's all at no cost to the city. I think it's phenomenal when you have a committed group of neighborhood residents who want to take their own passion for the arts and their expertise in fundraising, in hard labor. And, there's a whole lot of work that goes on in having to convert this, very derelict old property. And this amazing group is doing it largely through their own, volunteer base of over 1,000 members. They've collected over 1,000 volunteers and people ready to do the work, donate, etc. so far. So they're on their way to, first and foremost, finalizing a contract with the city. So City Council unanimously passed the resolution that I brought forward to approve the negotiations that the city administrator will now engage in. And hopefully in the next few months, once that gets done, they will then get to work on fundraising, on the retrofitting, on the reconstruction. And the goal is for this to be a new performing arts space to celebrate residents that are, doing these art forms, but also attracting people to Oakland. Our arts economy is money to the city as well, is bringing people from neighboring cities to celebrate the arts. And there's a number of ways in which you have local change makers try to do this. And that is one of the things that I'm thrilled to be able to use my voice on city council to bring forward something positive that is, again, no cost to the city, but will bring in money, bring in people, and bring in, performance spaces, rehearsal spaces at, free for the community once our organization is fully set up. So it's something I'm really excited to do, and grateful for the neighborhood residents. I'm pushing the resolution forward, but it's really the community organizers that have got this to this point. And this has been, even to get this resolution to this stage, a year and a half in the making to even get here.
Curious, there's some who say, hey, why not a police substation up there? And that's a fair question, given what we're talking about.
We're working on that as well. That's also been in the works for, frankly, about the same amount of time. Over the past year and a half, we started conversations with District 4, small businesses, nonprofits, groups, to bring both a substation, which, I've been talking about for almost 2 years, but it's in the works, and I can't make any public announcements about it just yet, but it's very much in the works as well.
And also, there is something called Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District legislation, which you know about, but I've been connected with the city since, I would say 1986. And for most of that time, we used tax increment financing. Now, post 2011, we don't use it anymore. And I'm curious to know why, because it seems like there's a hunt for grants and all this, but no one really understands or uses tax increment financing. And we were once experts at it. And it could have solved a lot of problems in terms of shifting money. What's going on?
We actually just passed something at council within the last 2 weeks on an EIFD near the Brooklyn Basin, I think on the first reading. So that's one that's been passed. And as we get proposals, we're going to continue to, use whatever tools we have available to us. But I think it was the first reading that passed last week for Brooklyn Basin EIFD. So I'm pretty sure that staff's going to bring more to us in the coming months.
So does that mean, for example, there's downtown, there's Howard Terminal, and I remember the Sperry report that was done last year, which I referred to as being amateurish, but it said you're going to look at things on a project by project basis, as opposed to a whole district. And for example, the way we used to do it, you had the whole downtown, that was a district. There was more flexibility. There's a call for Coliseum in East Oakland. So as opposed to a project by project basis, shouldn't we be more strategic and looking at it on a citywide basis?
Yeah, and I think we have a new interim finance director who's going to bring some exciting new proposals, and potentially, this might be something on her list.
You're referring to Jamazi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jan and I worked together when I was Elihu's economic advisor.
Yes.
She got us into the swap option thing that we ended up spending like 12 million out of. So, I think those days are past her, and I'm glad to see that she's back and able to help us in that role. Given what's happening, are you satisfied with the progress of the change in the administration? There are some, myself included, who contend that Mayor Lee is working too slow, doesn't have a strategy, and doesn't understand how to marshal resources to get things done quickly. Your response?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard job. I wouldn't wish being mayor on anyone. It's a really hard job, and I think she's doing her best. And what she does bring to the table is a sense of respectability, but she gives that back as well. It's been really wonderful to see a mayor who is trying to connect with every council member in every district. And, my first, as 2 years on council was, in many ways living hell with the former mayor, who completely
tried putting it mildly
of everything. Yeah. And, just to contrast that with Mayor Lee, who I meet with very regularly, our offices connect on a number of issues. It's a hard job, but I see her and her team really trying. And and this is not just to say, oh yeah, wow, she's better than Shang. No, of course not, because that's a really low bar. But I think that she really is trying to bring some of her skill sets and connections and hard work, but really she's not new to politics. And I think there's a maturity that comes with that. On one hand, you have council, myself included, I'm still the youngest person ever on council, that brings fresh new blood and an energy and a pragmatism, I think, to Oakland politics that we're seeing. This is the youngest council ever. 4 of us are under the age of 40. And I get along great with, a vast majority of council members of different ages. But I think this is showing a new generation of Oakland politics. But you couple that with the mayor who kind of has, experience and the connections and a sense of maturity. I think that's a great balance. And a side of Oakland politics that's exciting and something that residents should be happy about. You have a really good balance of backgrounds and skill sets, and including age, that represents different sides of, I think, what's good for government.
But Councilmember Ramachandran, I have to ask you, if she wants to signal a new day, a new beginning, shouldn't she have fired the current chief administrative officer, Mr. Johnson, Justin Johnson? Wouldn't that have been the great sign of, hey, look, we're moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, council can't control those decisions. It's out of, of course, there's ways to change our charter to give council hiring and fire. Well, we have appointment authority, but not firing authority. But right now, this is in her wheelhouse. And I respect that she wants to give the city administrator some time to, help execute some of her vision, some of council's visions. And, people grow under different leaderships. And, the train wreck of a mayor we had last time probably tied the hands of Mr. Johnson in many ways. And, and sometimes people are able to evolve under, a different kind of leadership, a different kind of freedom. So there's obviously, areas where there's a lot of cooperation and collaboration, and there's areas where there's not as much. But I hope to, just by virtue of having a mayor that's so willing to communicate and work with every council member, is huge. And I think that can set the tone to how hopefully the administration starts to carry things out. I mean, we have a number of leaders within the city that are new as well. So having, I know Gemma Zeke's interim, but that's still new leadership there. We're going to have Michelle Phillips come back as assistant city administrator. We're going to have, we have new department leaderships that are still interim waiting to be filled. I think this is all positive. This kind of change is good.
Oh, and Councilmember Ramachandran, I have to ask you, what happened to Latanda Simmons?
Also, it's Ramachandran.
Ramachandran, thank you. I always say it.
It's just pronounced as it's spelled.
I practice this in the mirror, folks. So it always comes out the other way. But look, Latanda, why did she get fired?
I don't know to this day. I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm a big Latanda fan, a big Latanda supporter. I don't know what happened, but again, I'm trying to control the things that I can. Like I said, it's not something that's within council's power, but there's a lot of things that are. So I'm trying to focus on what I have power over right now.
Well, Councilman Ramachandran, yes?
Yes.
Even the cat loved it. Tell people in the remaining time we have, what's on your agenda? What are you focused on that you want people to know about?
Financial stability for the city. We have to get over not repeating mistakes in the past of relying on one-time money to fund recurring expenses. This is not a new thing. It's not just, it's been happening over the last many years. That has to stop. And, we tried very hard to put together and pass a responsible budget, which, everyone's going to be mad at some cut here and there as we expected, because we had to close a $270 million deficit. But a sense of responsibility about how we're using these funds moving forward. Hopefully with the closure of the Coliseum deal, that money can be used towards, structural improvements. We have a number of one-time expenses as well.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can use most of it towards that.
Got to ask you real quick regarding the AESCG college deal. Are you satisfied with the progress of it? And also, someone said that one of the budget meetings, someone claimed that there were still partner arguments or something like that, which I thought were resolved a couple of years ago. What say you?
I don't know the details of the negotiation, but my firm belief remains the same, that I voted for the sale of the Coliseum to AASCG, and I stand by that. And I think they're the right group to lead it, and that they have a very pioneering vision for what that whole Coliseum complex can be for the city of Oakland and beyond, as an economic engine, as a driver, as a way to uplift our Black and Brown residents of East Oakland. I mean, I think they have a really wonderful vision, and I stand by my support for it. What I was always opposed to was tying that sale to our budget. This is a long, complicated, and nuanced deal that's going to take time, like any land sale deal. To say last year that we're just going to speed rush this forward and try to close it for deadlines to supposedly meet our budget deadlines was always ridiculous. And
yeah, I got to ask you, why is it so necessary to cancel out the JPA rather than leaving it as a liaison between government and AESCG and its organizations? I don't get it.
I'm not on the JPA. I can't speak deeply to that, but I think that there's a good pathway to closing this deal, and the defeasement of the bonds and all will help clear the path for this sale to hopefully be completed soon. I'm hopeful. Again, it should have never been tied to the budget, which is what led to so many disastrous cuts, us entering the contingency budget, cutting contracts, closing fire stations, all of that. And, even though I wasn't part of that decision, unfortunately, I wasn't able to sway colleagues at the time. But I think all of those who voted for it learned their lesson to realize you can't do that anymore. And, if that ever comes up again, I'll say I told you so last time, and you shouldn't make that mistake again. So I'm hoping that this new era of Oakland leadership, and it really is a new era. So far, a majority of us have been very, on the general pathway of being fiscally responsible, including, a majority of these new council members as well. People have learned from mistakes of the past and want to do better for our residents, because if we keep coming year after year with headlines of Oakland's biggest deficit, this and that, we're going to continue to be a laughing stock, and we're never going to get out of this hole, which means we have to make tough choices. And that started now. That started with this budget. And I think I'm very proud of a majority of council being in alignment and being in solidarity around that. We didn't have that last year. We didn't have that the year before. Half the council didn't even speak to each other, in the last 2 years. And now you have a majority that's willing to collaborate. And that doesn't mean agreeing on every single thing, but it means having some of the same values of, we have to work. It doesn't matter how we ended up in this mess. We have to be united and trying to crawl our way out of it. And I think we're getting there.
I want to sneak this in real quick before I thank you. So you favor a charter change, basically back to council manager form of government? What say you?
I'm open to which form. I think there's pros and cons to both. I want to let an appointed task force of subject matter experts be able to make the ultimate decision. But then, I will be one of the council members putting it on the ballot, hopefully next year. But, I came in having some opinions, but I'm genuinely trying to be open-minded. I'm not a subject matter expert on this, and I want to let experts from different fields of work be able to make their recommendations, and it's in a formal task force, and being able to come out with a recommendation one way or the other. But we cannot have this hybrid system. It is failing us.
But I ask you, real quick, isn't it really a matter of morale? Because I've been through both systems and we still have the same cultural problems. I've worked in both. So I don't see where there's going to be any difference, but I see people who are really not committed to making Oakland better in the way we used to, like when we lost the sports teams the first time around, the Raiders. Oh man, we went balls to the walls to get them back. Now it's kind of like, I mean, so will a charter change really make any difference?
It's not going to be the only thing that makes a difference. It's not a magic bullet of, we went to strong mayor. We went to strong council. Therefore, all of our problems are going to be resolved. No, of course not. But I think it's one of many steps we can take towards a brighter future in Oakland. So, yeah.
If I had extra time, I'd ask you about Trump and ICE, but what say you real quick? How do we stop these people?
I do have to go, unfortunately, but I don't know the answers. It's something that really keeps me up at night about
Yeah.
the really sad state of, and I worked very closely with immigrant communities as an attorney, and before that as a case manager, and it's something that I care very deeply about, and it's very sad that I'm powerless in that world right now. We really are.
Oh, you should come back and talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Hey, don't move a muscle. I got you. Everybody, thank you very much. This will be floating around the internet soon. This ends this stream out of respect for the council members' time. Council member, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Hey, how was that? Because it was kind of rapid fire.